Imagine sneaking out of your house just to go to a college party, only to end up as the prime suspect in a brutal murder case. This is Naz, a quiet, straight-A college student who usually blends into the background. One night, he gets a rare invitation to a massive party. The problem? He doesn't have a car. His dad, who drives a NYC taxi to support the family, strictly tells him no. But the hype is too real for Naz. Late at night, he steals his dad's taxi keys and hits the road.
But driving a yellow cab in New York comes with a massive loophole. Naz forgets to turn off the vacant light. Suddenly, random people are banging on his windows trying to get a ride. Stressed out, he pulls over to figure out his GPS. Right then, the back door flies open and a mysterious, beautiful girl named Andrea steps in. Naz panics and says, "Sorry, I'm not on duty." But instead of leaving, Andrea looks at him and says, "Can you take me to the beach?" Looking at her, Naz completely forgets about the college party. He looks back and says, "Sure, which beach?" And that single choice just triggered a countdown to his worst nightmare.
Andrea is clearly troubled, but Naz is totally captivated. On their way to the beach, Naz pulls over to grab them some drinks, leaving Andrea alone in the cab. Suddenly, she notices strange black men staring at her from the sidewalk. Andrea casually flicks her cigarette toward them. The men walks up to the cab, aggressively crushes the cigarette right against the car window, glaring at her like a direct threat. Naz comes back, sensing the heavy tension. They drive to the river, share a joint, and she invites him back to her luxurious townhouse. Before they entered the house, Naz got into a verbal altercation with two other people. I hope you don't forget the suspects, because the ending will blow your minds. Inside, things get weird fast. They start drinking, taking mysterious pills, and Andrea pulls out a sharp knife. She challenges Naz to a dangerous game, stabbing the knife rapidly between his fingers. Naz tries it, but he slips, cutting his own hand, leaving his blood on the table. Shortly after, the drugs kick in heavy, and Naz completely blacks out on the kitchen sofa. Hours later, Naz wakes up in the dark kitchen. The drugs are wearing off, and he decides to head upstairs to say goodbye to Andrea. He walks into the bedroom, turns on the light, and his heart stops. Andrea is lying on the bed, stabbed dozens of times, covered in blood. The entire room is a horrific crime scene. Terrified and confused, Naz doesn't call the police. He knows how bad this looks for an outsider like him. In a blind panic, he grabs his jacket, takes the bloody knife from the table, stuffs it into his pocket, which is his biggest mistake yet, and flees the scene in his dad's cab. But Naz has the absolute worst luck in history. While speeding away, he makes an illegal turn and gets pulled over by two police officers. They don't know about the murder yet. They just suspect he's driving under the influence. They lock him in the back of the police cruiser. Meanwhile, a neighbor who saw Naz breaking out of Andrea's house calls 911. The crazy part? The exact same cops holding Naz get the emergency dispatch call, and they drive right back to Andrea's townhouse, with the prime suspect sitting quietly in their backseat, watching the crime scene tape go up. So now, Naz is sitting inside the crowded police precinct, and his mind is racing. But here is the crazy part. The police have absolutely no idea what he just did. To them, he's just a regular kid who made an illegal turn and failed a breathalyzer test. They think it's a simple traffic violation. Meanwhile,
Downstairs, Detective Box and the forensics team are already crawling all over Andrea's house looking for the killer. Nas is losing his mind with fear, watching the cops walk in and out, praying they just give him a ticket and let him go home before they connect the dots. Detective Box enters the holding area, looking for anyone who might seem suspicious. He notices Nas acting very nervously, trembling and sweating profusely. With quick steps, Box decides to conduct a routine search before letting him go. The policewoman searches Nas's pants, then moves to his jacket. There, in the inside pocket, the detective feels something heavy. She reaches in and pulls out the same blood-stained knife from Andrea's bedroom. Complete silence falls over the room. It's over. Now that they found the bloody knife, Detective Box locks Nas in an interrogation room. The friendly good cop act is completely gone. Box lays down the photos of Andrea's body right in front of him, pushing for a confession. Nas is crying, hyperventilating, and swearing he didn't do it, but he can't explain why he had the murder weapon in his pocket. Every word coming out of Nas's mouth just makes him look more guilty. He is entirely alone, terrified, and on the verge of breaking down completely under the pressure. Nas is thrown back into a holding cell, entirely hopeless, waiting to be processed for first-degree murder. But just as the heavy iron door slams shut, a quirky, low-level defense attorney named John Stone walks through the precinct. He's just there for a routine case, but he spots Nas, looking like a lost deer in headlights. Sensing a massive opportunity, Stone walks up to his cell, looks at the terrified kid, and gives him one golden, life-saving rule. From now on, do not say a single word to anyone but me. And just like that, the first episode ends, and the real legal war begins.